Well, hello everyone. I just finished a fantastic lesson with the one and only Fluency MC, Jason Levine. We had a fantastic time talking about meeting native speakers online. So we were going over a lot more things in detail about the guide I released recently that is now available for free for everyone to download at EnglishAnyone.com. I will put the link right here so you can get that. Just click right on that link and it will take you to EnglishAnyone.com, and you can download that important audio guide along with the PDF that will teach you all about how to think and how to get out and meet native speakers. So we just finished that. We were preparing for that for about 1 month. It was really a lot of fun. We had a lot of great students, a lot of great questions. But one question in particular, I wanted to come back and create this special video to talk about that, because I think it's a really important issue that came up, and we'll get into it right now. So I answered a whole bunch of questions from students and talked about a lot of things, but first, before I get into that, I want to kind of explain what I did for leading up to this lesson and why it's such an important thing and such a valuable thing, this guide that I've created for everyone. So a few months ago, I began thinking, okay, what do students really need? What are the questions I keep getting from students over and over again? And one of them was, how do I get out and actually meet native speakers? Because again, you can learn a lot of the words and phrases and things like that for the language, but unless you actually get out and really start working with people, speaking the language and practicing, you're not going to become a fantastic speaker. So I thought a lot about that, and I asked a few questions of students. I had a survey, so I actually produced a video with Jason maybe it was a few weeks ago actually, and maybe even longer than that, but we were asking questions of students and trying to figure out really what, kind of getting to the bottom of what students needed to know for that. So the first thing I was asking was, what are the real frustrations that people have? That was kind of the biggest thing I really wanted to find out from students. And it seemed like a lot of people were worried about, not only getting out and finding people to practice with, but once they get into conversations, a big problem that students were having was, what do I do when I have to respond in a conversation? So people are really quite good at getting out and reading and writing and then asking questions. And so this means, being able to control a situation. But the tricky thing is when you get people that are answering questions and then asking them back. So that's kind of a tricky thing. We were talking about that. So after getting a lot of questions from students, I decided to make this guide. And so I created the guide, which is available. Again, you can click on the link right here to get that. But also we had the lesson, so I really wanted to talk about more things in that. But in the lesson, one of the interesting questions that I got from students was in describing my situation and how I learned Japanese. So I really want to talk in detail about that right now, because I think it's really important for students to understand where I'm coming from as a teacher and why I know what I'm talking about, because I've gone through the same steps of struggling and having to deal with those problems, and I'm still learning. I still make mistakes when I'm speaking Japanese, and so I still have to go through those problems that everybody else experiences. The difference is in something that I talked about in the video today, and that's also in the guide, which is having a really specific, strong goal that will pull you past the mistakes and all of the hard times that you will experience as you're learning to get fluent. If you do not have a very strong goal over here, all of the little errors and mistakes that you encounter, you're going to kind of fall victim to those. You're going to accept defeat and give up. So don't say something like, I want to become fluent, or I want a job, or some other kind of general goal like this. You really have to pick something specific and then really focus on that thing. So that way, when you're actually working and practicing, you will, number one, find lots of great ways to figure that out. Number two, you will find other people that are helping you. And number three, you will be able to deal with all of the problems in stride. We say in English to deal with something in stride. And all this means is that you're able to relax and go through it just like you're sailing through some rough seas outside. So you'll be able to do those things calmly. Now, one of the things I talked about, in addition to having this really strong goal, so for myself, I wanted to learn Japanese gardening, but the even bigger goal, and a thing I'd like to do in the future, is opening traditional Japanese hotels in other countries. So I'm really excited to do that. But I go out and I start talking with people about that, and they get excited and they start talking, and it helps me improve my Japanese. So again, it's a very clear, obvious example of a very specific goal that I have, something I'd like to do in the future, and I can envision it in my head. I can see it, and it's really powerful for me. So when I think about what I want to do in the future, I get excited about that, and I want to tell people, and it helps kind of pull me to the goal where it is I want to go. So the other thing that kind of came up in the lesson that I had today with Jason was, well, if people are saying, I guess Drew he can learn Japanese, he can get out and speak with people because, well, he lives in Japan. I guess I can't do that because I don't live in a foreign country, or I don't live in an English-speaking country. So I really wanted to talk about that in this video. That's what this video is all about. So I'll go through right now how it is I kind of came to improve my Japanese and how I'm able to speak Japanese fluently now, even though I still make a few mistakes. So I've kind of told my story before, and you can see it on my website as well, about how I learned to get fluent and, kind of beginning the traditional way that most people do, where they're learning through textbooks and they're trying to read one thing, but then when you get into the real life situation, everything is different. Things are faster, words are different, pronunciations are totally the opposite, or whatever you think they should be, and you're trying to kind of force your way of looking at the world. And a lot of people even mail me and they ask me questions online, and they say, well, why is it that they can understand me now and I have really clear pronunciation, but when people get into a regular conversation, they really can't understand what people are saying? And that's because right now I'm speaking more clearly intentionally. I don't speak this way normally. My pronunciation is usually pretty clear, but I'm much faster, using much more slang in conversation. So right now I'm intentionally trying to be more understood so that you can actually, figure out what I'm saying here. The important thing is that when I was learning to study, I began the same way most people do, kind of trying to go to classes, and I decided to not do those anymore because I couldn't understand the teacher and I thought it was boring and it was a waste of my time. So I began thinking like, okay, what is it I'm really after? I want to become a fantastic speaker. I don't really care so much about learning the names of a grammar point. I want to actually use the language. So in thinking about that, I started kind of creating these fluency missions. I've talked to a lot of people about a local grocery store I went to, and I've done a lot of different things like that, but one in particular is asking people, where is this? I would ask people the same question over and over again. So the nice thing about this technique, and this is one of the things I recommend for Master English Conversation learners, whether you're online or in person, is you find something where you can control the outcome of it. So again, it eliminates that fear of feeling nervous because you don't know what somebody else will say to you. So you can ask, where is this? And they just tell you where it is. And even if you don't understand everything, you have a pretty general idea of what the people are talking about. So thinking about that, I began, going out and trying lots of different missions. I would go to the post office and ask for this and try to mail a letter. And, I would begin with small kind of tasks and activities and missions and then move on to bigger things. And then, trying to go out and meet new friends in different places. I would when I lived in Kyoto, Japan, and I just moved there, I didn't know anyone. So I went actually to a local community center and I was posting on a wall, just looking for friends. There's places where you can go and meet new people and talk to different people like that. But again, those are kind of techniques that I developed, but a lot of the actual fluency that I got, the real practice that I used, was when I went back to America. And this is something that maybe a lot of people don't know about me, so I really want to talk about that and make it clear here. So I lived in Japan from maybe 2003 until about 2005 or 6, I think. So about 2.5 years. And then I went back to America for another 2.5 years before I came back to Japan again in 2008. But the time that I was living in America, after I returned, I was living in Seattle. That was the time where I really started using all of the kind of techniques that I got and actually finding more people to practice with. So ironically, my fluency got better when I was in America, and then I was able, when I came back in 2008, to use the skills that I had developed back in America to become a much more confident speaker in Japan. So the process took a while, but it's really interesting. I was kind of more nervous about going out and meeting native speakers out in Japan than I was back when I was with other kind of Japanese people that I was meeting out in America. So maybe people are trying to meet each other as well, and it was a bit more calm and relaxed out there, and also usually foreigners from a different country are a bit more open-minded and they're happy to meet people, so the situation is a little bit different. But the point is, I was not in Japan when I really started developing my fluency. And now that I'm back, I can have great conversations. I went and got a nice haircut today, and I was having really great conversations with my barber, and talking with him, and talking with the lady that was washing my hair, and lots of interesting little conversations like that I was not able to do the first time I was living in Japan when I came in 2003. So when people say to me like, well, I guess like you live in Japan, you've got a nice situation where you can go out and practice, the two things I'll mention about that. The first one is that I know so many people, other foreigners that live in Japan, and Japanese people, and people from all over the world that live in America and other English-speaking countries, and they don't speak the language. They don't speak English. So you can't say that somebody coming to another country, just because I'm living in Japan means like, well, I guess I can speak English, or I can speak Japanese. It's just not true. So some people are really good and some people are not, but really the difference is they probably got a goal and then they're actually taking action. That's really what you have to do. You have to go out, and the best way to do that is to have your really strong goal, the thing that you're really passionate about. It's not about trying to pass a particular test like the TOEFL or whatever the test is. That's a specific goal that you might have to do because you've got to pass an exam, to get into college, or to get a job or something like that. But the real thing you want is having a fantastic conversation with people you don't know. Being able to go to some foreign country and speaking with people, and that's really what you're after. So think about those things as you go out and try to practice. And then the second thing that's really important to remember about that is I kind of decided what I wanted. So again, you've got the goal that you have for wanting to practice that's bigger than taking a test. But in my mind, I knew that it depended on me. So it had nothing to do with where I was living. It was all like the kind of person I was and the kind of goals I had. So whenever people tell me, or they kind of give me the excuse like, well, you live in Japan so you can do that, I guess I don't live in an English-speaking country so I can't get fluent in English, I say that's garbage. No. Do not believe that. That is a limiting belief. That is it's just an idea that you have that's not true, because I guarantee you there are always other people in your country, maybe even in your city or town right now, that can speak great English and they've never been to a foreign country before. So what's the difference? It's all in how they think. And it begins with having a really fantastic goal. So anybody, you can always ask me more questions. I look forward to kind of talking down in the comments below this video and learning more about people. But to help you think about that, just like I do for my Master English Conversation subscribers, my members, every month, I give them a special mission homework assignment to go out and practice. So that to kind of change the way they think, or to practice a specific ability. Like this month, we've got going out and meeting people through YouTube. It's a really fantastic thing. Next month, students will be practicing a really cool technique I use to practice their listening. So a lot of students that really want to go out. It's a very simple, but it's a fantastic technique to help people become much better listeners and understanders of lots of different kinds of English. So the thing I want you to do today is really imagine your goal. I know this is not the sexiest, most entertaining thing. It's not like learning some new cool word or phrase in the language, but like I tell all of my students, if you don't master the basics and if you don't have a fantastic, really strong goal that will pull you to where you want to go, you're wasting your time. You're not going to become a great speaker, and you will not have something really that you're looking forward to that will pull you through the mistakes. So again, think about your goal. Your special mission homework assignment for today is to really sit down, just kind of in a quiet place, and think about what your interests are, and then think about what it is you're actually trying to get with your English. Be very specific, write it down, and then anytime you make a mistake or you're worried about your English, think about the power of that goal. So decide what you want and focus on that. And if you focus on the thing you want and not the thing you don't want, and just to make sure that's clear, your mind, it doesn't understand the difference between a good thing and a bad thing. That's an idea that you decide after the fact. So if you think something is good or something is bad, your brain doesn't care about that. Your brain only understands focus. So just like water moving downhill, water won't move uphill. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, water just moves down. So if you can give water a better place to go, you can focus the energy better, then you can focus on the thing you want. So don't focus on the mistake, focus on the fantastic thing you'll get when you finally become fluent. That's what I did, and even when I lived in America or in Japan, it didn't matter. It's the same goal that's pulling me along now. If you have any questions about this, feel free to let me know, but do post in the comment down below. What is your goal? Like, don't just write one sentence that says, I want to become a fluent speaker, because it won't help you. I really want you to take time, maybe like 10 sentences, a whole paragraph. I want you to comment, make a really big comment. It can be like, take up all the space that you can use for YouTube. It's like, I don't know, 250 characters or something like that you can write down in the comments below. So take your time, write that down, and really think about what it is you want. And then make sure it's something you're excited about. Don't just say you want to get fluent. Say, I want to be surfing in California and talking to surfers out there and out there enjoying the sun, just like I am today. I'm out at the park. It's a lovely day. But, you know, anything like that, all the things that you get to enjoy, you know, I'll kind of move the camera around so you can see where I'm at right now. I'm in Nagasaki, and I'm at one of my favorite parks. We'll pan the camera around here and you can see we've got the lovely ocean. We've got some huge boats over here, and it's just a lovely park. There's actually people, you know, flying kites around today, enjoying the day. We've got some families outside. It's just a really nice day. But the whole reason I'm able to enjoy all this is because I have an idea in my mind that's stronger. It's giving me something to focus on more than when I make mistakes. And if you can do that, you can get fluent anywhere in the world. Well, have a fantastic day. Go down below the comments, write down there what your fantastic goal is, something really specific, and be sure to right here click and download the free guide that I've created for you, both the audio version and the PDF, so that you can learn lots of great techniques for going out and meeting native speakers. It will help you with everything: how to think, where to meet people, specific things to say. It's all included in the free guide. Have an excellent day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.